Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I have the privilege of standing here with UCF Board of Trustees Chairman Marcos Marchena. I want to walk through what the announcement's going to look like today. We're going to have Dr. Hitt come up and speak for a few minutes. Marcos will speak for a few minutes after that, and then they will be happy to answer questions from the media. So for reporters who are here, if you can go in the back and find Chad or Courtney, they'll be holding a microphone. You can ask your question there so that everybody here can hear the questions and then the answers. And then afterwards, News and Information will have additional information for reporters if you need it. With that, it is our honor and privilege to introduce UCF's First Lady, Martha Hitt, and the best president in the United States, John C. Hitt.
Thank you. Thank you. If this goes on much longer, I'll never get through this speech. Let me thank everyone for being here this afternoon. You know, timing is important in life. Almost 26 years ago, the time was right for me to become UCF's fourth president. Today, the time is right for me to leave the presidency. With the firm belief that the future is bright for UCF, I'll step down as president effective June 30, 2018. I make this decision in good health and of my choosing. The time is right for this decision because I've never felt better about UCF. This is a special time for our university. We're hiring hundreds of talented new faculty members, attracting the highest achieving students in our history, and making impacts in Orlando, the state, and our nation. I'm proud of our reputation as one of the biggest and best universities in this country. Through our size and constant pursuit of excellence, UCF changes the lives of our students, and our students change the world. Making this decision now provides the best opportunity for UCF's momentum to continue. I know that our leadership team, including our trustees, vice presidents, and deans, will continue turning big dreams into reality. As Chairman Marchena will discuss, I'll continue supporting UCF in our fundraising and strategic plan initiatives. This is important because it ensures UCF's positive momentum continues. Since 1992, Martha and I have been honored to work alongside many exceptional people. Being at UCF has been one of the greatest joys of our lives. When we first visited campus, we had a powerful feeling that UCF was a special place. We never could have imagined then how very special it would become. Thank you to everyone who's made our remarkable university what it is today. Martha and I are forever grateful for your support. Thank you.
What a tribute. What a tribute. Room full of friends, heartfelt. Dr. Hitt, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, thank you for more than 25 years of outstanding leadership at UCF and in our community, the state, and the nation. I know you've never been comfortable accepting praise, but Mr. President, you better learn fast because you're going to hear a lot of it in the next several months. In terms of impact, integrity, and longevity, there's never been a university president like John Hitt. There's John, turn the page, and then there's everyone else. When I called Governor Rick Scott to share the news, he asked me to relay his deep appreciation for John's long and distinguished service to the people of the state of Florida. He sends his well wishes for a happy and healthy retirement. John's accomplishments are legendary. So much so that former Governor Jeb Bush once said that Walt Disney and John Hitt have done more to transform Central Florida into a vibrant, dynamic place than any two people. I believe that to be 100% true. Thank you, Mr. President. Under John's leadership, UCF has grown from a sleepy commuter school to become one of the largest, and as he said, and best universities in the country. That's a bold statement, one that I am prepared to back up with facts. This fall, the average GPA for incoming freshmen is a school record 4.05. We also welcomed a school record 88 National Merit Scholars to UCF this fall. Overall, we rank 11th among U.S. public universities for enrolling National Merit Scholars. The percentage of UCF students who are minorities has increased from 15% in 1992, when John and Martha arrived, to 46% today. We have more minority students enrolled today than we had total students enrolled when John started. Yes. And 1 out of every 4 students at UCF is the first one in his or her family to attend college. That's real impact to individual lives, to families, to communities. U.S. News and World Report ranks UCF among the nation's most innovative universities, along with Harvard, Stanford, and Duke. UCF is the only school in Florida in that list. And finally, we know how proud John is of our 17th ranked football team's 6-0 record. But I know he is just as proud as I am that the Knights have had the highest athletics graduation success rate of any public university in the country for 3 consecutive years. John, I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much. So he thinks he's retiring and just sort of going away to live a nice little life in Madison or wherever he's going to, but that's not what's happening at all. I am very pleased that President Hitt will continue to be part of the Knights family as President Emeritus, working to help advance our most important philanthropic, community, and partnership goals. For example, John has already started discussions about his role in helping UCF successfully complete our $500 million Ignite fundraising campaign. And the Board of Trustees will continue to seek his advice and counsel about the implementation of our collective impact strategic plan. This ensures our current path continues unabated. This also means that we will continue to have the pleasure of working with John's not-so-secret weapon, First Lady Martha Hitt. Martha works tirelessly to help recruit world-class talent to UCF, cultivate and thank donors, and strengthen university relationships in the community. She and John have formed a partnership that has spanned a remarkable 55 years of marriage. In fact, John calls Martha his greatest partner. Martha, on behalf of UCF and the Central Florida community, thank you for everything you have done as UCF's First Lady. Thank you so much. Wasn't me. Now the important work of finding UCF's next president begins. As chairman of the UCF Board of Trustees, I will lead the search process. My promise is this: we will conduct a comprehensive, transparent, and inclusive search for UCF's fifth president. I will form a search committee that will include members of the UCF Board of Trustees and the Florida Board of Governors, faculty, staff, students, alumni representatives, and members of the general Central Florida community. Today, I named Trustee David Walsh as the search committee chairman and Trustee Beverly C. as vice chair. I have also named Trustee Bill Yergin to serve on the committee. I will appoint the full search committee after review of recommendations from faculty, students, and other constituencies no later than November 15. I also have asked Board of Trustees Vice Chairman Robert Garvey to lead a task force of university leaders to plan Dr. Hitt's transition activities and to develop the welcome agenda for the new president. Our search will be both thorough and timely. My goal is to have a new president approved by the Board of Trustees and confirmed by the Board of Governors no later than June 30. Although the Board of Trustees will begin our preliminary discussions as early as this coming Thursday, we are well prepared for this transition. We will proceed based on the policies we have previously developed and approved. As President Hitt said, this search is an opportunity to continue UCF's momentum. John's vision and leadership of UCF is so complete, it's extended to understanding when it is in the university's best interest for him to retire. I view this search as an opportunity to continue the trajectory established by one of the nation's greatest university presidents. John, one more time, thank you so much for your service.
Okay, we're happy to take questions if reporters here have them. We've got some microphones in the back.
Hi, I have a few questions for you. My name is Michael Lopardi with Channel 9 for President Hitt. You did mention some of the reasons why you felt the time is right, but could you elaborate on the why now?
I missed your last phrase. Could I elaborate?
Why was the time right now? You mentioned a few things, but
Well, there's that general sense of timing. 25 years is a long time for anyone to stay in a leadership position. But I think things were brought into focus recently when it looked as though, well, it didn't look as though we had a real chance of losing Dale Whitaker, our outstanding provost and executive vice president. And it forced me to think about how I would discharge my duty as the president in finding his replacement. You may not know, but you can certainly imagine any candidate who's coming into a position like that is a serious candidate is going to ask the person doing the interview, how long are you going to be around? Well, the honest answer to that, apart from all of this, everything else we talked about, is 1 or 2, maybe 3 years at the outside, but more likely 1 or 2. That is not long enough to keep a serious candidate in a search. So what I had to face was that just by sheer happenstance, my age lined up so that I couldn't do that. So recognizing that fact, you have to say, well, what are the most important tasks for a president? And certainly one of them is to have an outstanding team of administrators. And of those, certainly as important as any is the provost. So I was faced by my own analysis with a conclusion that I needed to retire, and I've done so.
and then not to rush you along too far, but many people are already thinking about who's next. Is there anyone in particular that you would like to see become president? Is one question, and the second question is there any sort of skill set that you think that they're going to need to take over for you?
Well, I have some opinions, but I don't think it's proper for someone in my position to give advice to the community, if you will, on who ought to be chosen. So I will defer on the first question. The skill set, though, you've got to have someone with a deep knowledge of academia. This is a large university, becoming larger, complex, becoming more complex, demanding, becoming more demanding. So you need someone who really arrives with a very thorough knowledge of the institution more generally, and capable of quickly getting a comprehensive knowledge of UCF. There are folks like that out here and in here. So I think there's no question that we'll have a good crop of candidates, and I envy Chairman Marchena the task he's going to have compared to some we've had over the years that a number of us have been here. I think that, good communication skills, integrity, all the checklist of leadership traits that we read if we consult the literature. But most of all, I want to say to everyone, this is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity.
Go ahead,
Why?
Michelle. So go ahead, Michelle.
How do you feel today announcing? It's clear it's a very emotional time for you.
Well, I feel good. I feel like I'm doing something that I've recognized must be done, and I hope I'm doing it with some style and grace.
You've had a remarkable career. How did you do it?
Well, a fair amount of hard work, some really great luck. And if anybody ever stays in a job like this for 25 years and tells you there's no luck involved, don't believe anything else they say. But you have to be willing to take the long view. The common wisdom when Martha and I arrived here was that maybe 5 to 7 years was the outer limit of what a president ought to serve. And in fact, what was then Nosoljic is now APLU, had done a survey on the average length of president's tenure, and it was about 3.5 years. slightly shorter than the average time of the football coach. I'd just taken the job here when I read that, and I said, what in the have you gotten yourself into? So, but the answer to that question was, you've gotten yourself into a wonderful community, a great university, both filled with wonderful individuals.
President Hitt, over on this side of the room, Holly Bristow with Fox 35 News. I'd just like to know what you think your biggest accomplishment has been in your tenure here at UCF.
Well, in some senses, you could say I haven't screwed it up. You know, we inherited things from, say, Charlie Milligan, our founder, who came up with this concentric circle model for how the campus is organized. That's probably a really underappreciated contribution that Charlie made, of all the things he did. But he came up with a plan, and he stuck with it, and he passed it on to Trevor Coburn, who passed it on to Steve Altman. And despite urging on several occasions, we pretty well stuck with it too. So it's not always the most conspicuous thing you do. If I had to name the most conspicuous achievement that we've had, it would be the approval of the medical college. That there was so much power arrayed against that almost no one gave us a chance. And what our folks did is something that's very characteristic of UCF. They changed the impossible into the inevitable. And the final vote was 15-1 in favor, with the chairman, of course, not voting because there was no tie. So it went from maybe 10 or 11 votes at the most to 16, and from no chance of passage to approval. And that really took the efforts of a very large and talented group of folks. Dan Holzenbeck comes particularly to mind in that.
How has this university changed from the day that you first joined it here to what we see now?
Well, I think there have been, Bill, over 100 new buildings constructed. Now, that includes individual dorm units, and not rooms, but dorm buildings. And I would say that we've gone from sort of the early survivalist mode to something a bit more aesthetically pleasing. And I give Bill Merck and his staff an enormous amount of credit for that. The aesthetic element was not a long suit at UCF when we arrived, and it isn't anything that I've done, certainly, that's improved it. I'm not a real pro in that area, but I think we've had a lot of great folks who had ideas that were within the parameters that were set, and have set about creating a very appealing campus. So many times when you ask a really good student, how did you choose UCF? Why did you come? Well, once I came on the campus, I just fell in love with the place. So it matters.
President, you had the opportunity to work with other universities, such as the University of Arizona, to model a campus downtown in the city of Orlando. Can you talk about how you see UCF growing from here on out?
Well, first off, let me correct, it was Arizona State that I stole that idea from. And it's been my observation that most of the great progress that gets made is by people who understand, which ideas are the good ideas and steal only them. They had a different organization of the academic units. They took whole colleges downtown and had all 4 years of the college represented, and it's been successful. But reading some of my friend Michael Crow's description of what he did there, I was skeptical that it was really as good as he said. So during a break, on a visit out there with a number of UCF people, when they asked, where would you like to go? What would you like to see? I said, the downtown campus. Well, I went in a real skeptic and came out a convert. So, we stole a lot of things pretty much lock, stock, and barrel, but our basic organization's a bit different. The partnership we have with Valencia, for instance, enables them to do the first 2 years, most of the general education, and we focus on the upper division work. They're doing all 4 years, as I recall it, at Arizona State. But we're lucky to have good friends like Michael Crow, who will enable us to steal his good ideas.
Over here, Crystal Ruiz with UCF Nightly News. I wanted to know, what was your greatest memory here at UCF? The number one thing you know you'll never forget.
Oh, I have to say, go back to the medical school. There's a Sentinel front page that shows Mayor Dyer and I want to say Mayor Crotty, Dean Cannon probably when he was coming up as Speaker of the House, and they're all celebrating this, and the joy that we felt at having prevailed in that would be hard for me to describe to you. So that's probably it. I'll tell you though, there's one that never gets mentioned by anybody else, and seldom by me. I'd had dinner, Martha and I'd had dinner with the late Al and Nancy Burnett, and the topic of conversation had revolved around the chance that Tyler Fisher would be selected as a Rhodes Scholar. The Burnett's, of course, had funded the building for honors and were great supporters of education generally. And I got home and found a message saying that Tyler had won. And got to call the Burnett's and tell them. They were so happy. They were so happy. It was great.
Is there anything you hope to accomplish with your last few months here at UCF?
Well, there are a lot of things I think we're putting finishing touches on. Look at any area of endeavor, whether it's the capital campaign. I'd like to see us, I hope that I can fit myself into the efforts that Vice President Morsberger and his staff have generated for this campaign within a campaign for very vital academic components of the plan. If we can do that, it would be time well spent. But I want to do a careful survey of things that we've started and be sure I'll leave them, if I can't finish them, that I'll leave them in the very best shape for someone else to do that. And so that, we've got months to take that down, and there's a lot you can do in a concentrated 6 or 8 months. So we'll see what we can do there.
Matt Petrillo with News 6. You already have a building named after you. How would you describe your legacy?
I don't know. I think my legacy is in the culture of the campus, the focus on partnership, the can-do attitude, the knowledge that you don't have to be terrified of failure. The willingness to take a few risks here or there. Martha sometimes says, well, you jumped off the diving board again. I hope there's water in the pool. So I guess I hope that. Hope there's water in the pool.
I think we might have time for one more question. Go ahead.
You mentioned Buddy Dyer, and he's already come out and said that your job is his dream job. Do you think this is a job that a politician can do, or do they need academic experience?
Well, there's a lot of shading of meaning in the words we would both use to describe this situation. I think if you ask yourself, would a person with a political background be able to do a good job, Buddy would be high up on the list of possibilities there. If you ask me what I think is best suited, or the kind of person I think is best suited for the job before the president here at UCF at this particular time, it would be someone with a deep knowledge of academe, someone with a background of having done the kind of scholarship that we most want as we try to become a more well-known and respected graduate and research institution. So, again, if we were to say, well, this is the time for a politically experienced candidate, I can think of no one I'd recommend ahead of Mayor Dyer. He's an outstanding individual. I don't happen to believe that this is the time for that political candidate. Luckily, I'm not involved in the choice. Anything else?
Okay, thank you everybody for being here.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.